Backstory: I met my ex-husband, Eric, in college. Little did I know back then that he was cheating on me with a girl who lived on campus, and I was completely oblivious. We got married, had a pretty good marriage at first, and welcomed 3 kids into our lives: 13F, 8M, 5M. It wasn't until years later that my sister clued me in on Eric's infidelity when he showed up late to her wedding with a woman named Rihanna. I was shocked and felt utterly blindsided because I had no idea who Rihanna was, thinking she was just a friend of my sister's. To cut a long story short, after finding out about his cheating, which happened while I was raising our kids, I filed for divorce. We ended up with a 50-50 custody arrangement. I had the kids during the weekdays, while Eric took them Friday through Saturday, occasionally Sunday mornings. All the while, I struggled with the emotional fallout and the fact that he married Rihanna shortly after our divorce, which added more salt to the wound since they now have 2 kids together, 10 and 6, as a result of their relationship. Fast forward to now, I've remarried and recently had a daughter with my new husband, who is now just a few weeks old. Honestly, the transition has been tough. I feel like I'm juggling a lot, raising 3 kids, a newborn, and trying to forge a life after what I went through with Eric. My family, with the exception of my mom and sister, have always sided with Eric, praising him for being the good father while conveniently forgetting he cheated on me and left me to handle everything on my own. This past weekend, my kids came back from Eric's place, and they were expressing annoyance about their baby sister crying and how I asked them to help out occasionally. I asked them to do simple things like watch her while I run to the bathroom, make a small bottle now and then, or give her a pacifier. Just typical big sibling duties, nothing that should be too overwhelming. However, my 8 and 5-year-old were complaining a bit too much for my liking. Things escalated when Eric and Rihanna suggested that they should take full custody of the kids, claiming that the new baby was changing family dynamics and affecting my kids' academic progress. I totally understand that having a newborn can be an adjustment, but I think asking them to pitch in here and there is not parentifying them. I just want to involve them so they don't feel neglected or uncared for, which I believe can be common for kids in blended families. I had a talk with my kids about it, and they told me they were just joking around and actually enjoyed helping. I was firm with them about how it's not funny to joke about such serious things, especially with their dad and stepmom, who, let's be real, will do anything to get back at me for the divorce. Things took a turn when Rihanna texted me saying she wanted what's best for the kids and that the newborn would negatively impact their lives. I seriously had enough, so I ignored her message and blocked her. But then she had the audacity to text my oldest daughter, claiming that I didn't care about their happiness, which is just flat out untrue. My husband and my mom have been supportive, telling me that Eric and Rihanna are overreacting, and my sister has been a rock, advising me to just ignore them. Now Eric is trying to push for this full custody arrangement again, and I'm at a crossroads. His side of the family insists I should bow out for the well-being of the kids and that I'm as bad a mother as I was a wife. I really want to know. Comment 1. You need a lawyer in the mix ASAP. You need all communication to go through a parenting app. For now 100% do not ask the kids to do anything for the baby and make time to do a few one-on-one things with them. Your ex and his wife are totally whispering in the kids' ears. Going to try and be the fun parents with little or no rules and are trying to alienate your kids from you. You need to go all in on addressing this now. And you would be the if you let these assholes steal your kids. NTA. OP comment. I do have a lawyer, thank God, so we'll be handing that. I will make sure we get a good app the system and us have access to so they're living proof do anything else that happens. How in the world would I stop my kids from helping with the baby? That's all they wanna do, can I? Please mom. Mommy, can I everything with the baby? It's like they're obsessed with her. Comment 2. My ex and his new wife did the same thing to me. I contacted a lawyer and he sent them a letter saying basically file a motion or shut up about it to the children. You are just confusing the kids and that's not right. Guess what? Absolutely nothing happened after the lawyer's letter. Story 2. I, 29F, have been with my boyfriend, 31M, for 6 years. We've built a life together, sharing everything, supporting each other through tough times, and always splitting expenses down the middle. I work as a high school teacher making $45,000 a year, while he used to work as a mechanic earning around $50,000. We weren't rolling in cash, but we made it work as a team. When things got tough, I always had his back. During the pandemic, when his hours were cut, I covered most of the bills without hesitation because I believed we were working toward a shared future. I even gave him a lot of money for his project of reselling these things, which completely failed and almost drove us to bankruptcy. I never made him feel guilty, because that's what you do when you love someone. A few months ago, everything changed. His estranged uncle passed away and left him $800,000 in cash and a fully paid vacation home in Colorado. I was genuinely thrilled for him. I thought this could be a turning point for both of us. I imagined a future where we could finally breathe a little easier, maybe even start planning for a family or at least escape our cramped apartment. But instead of bringing us closer, the money created a huge divide. The moment the inheritance hit his account, he told me outright that it was his money and that I wasn't entitled to any of it. I didn't expect a handout, but I thought we'd share the burden a little more fairly, especially since I'd carried us when he couldn't. Instead, he quit his job, decided he was retired, and now spends his days gaming and treating himself to luxuries like expensive meal kits and new gadgets, while I'm still working long hours and paying half the bills. He even jokes that he's living the dream, while I'm exhausted every day trying to make ends meet. The final straw came last week when my car broke down. The repair bill was $900. More than I could afford without seriously cutting back. I swallowed my pride and asked if he could help, thinking after all we'd been through, it wouldn't be a big deal. He laughed and said, "You've always been independent, you got this." I was hurt. After years of supporting him emotionally and financially, the second he had the means to make life easier for both of us, he left me hanging. So, I told him if his money is his, then the bills are his too. I'm done paying my share. Now he's calling me selfish and accusing me of using him. But honestly, I'm tired of feeling like a roommate while he lives like a king. Comment 1. You're right, I've always been independent and I've independently tracked how much money you owe me from when you weren't working and I had to cover all the expenses. Hand him an invoice and walk away from the relationship. He will be broke within a few years and back to being a sponge. NTA. Comment 2. This, yeah. $800K is a very nice windfall, but it's not retirement money. And renting out a vacation home in Colorado may be enough to offset his previous income, but that's gonna require careful budgeting. And it doesn't look like he's capable of that. Comment 3. NTA obviously. I don't even know why you would come here when he's obviously the asshole. After 6 years and you helping him out, he should have returned the favor. I'm also sorry to say this, but your relationship is over. At least you're only 29 and can move on. Also be happy you didn't have kids with him. You dodged a bullet and you should be grateful for that. Story 3. My dad got married last month and his wife only moved in a week after the wedding. They were long distance for 3 years. I, 17M, still live at home for now, but I plan to move out this summer. When my dad's wife moved in, she told my dad she didn't want to see any photos of my mom around the house. That it was supposed to be her home and she could not make a home with those memories on display. She needed to know she was his wife, not just his second wife. So the photos came down. My dad was going to store them, so he offered to let me take whatever photos I wanted since they'd just gathered dust, according to him. I took them all. Not some, not 1 or 2, I took them all, and my grandparents are keeping them safe for me. Dad's wife had no issue with me taking the ones I wanted until I wanted them all. Then she asked me why I was taking them all, and I asked her why it bothered her so much. She said 1 or 2 made sense, but it felt like a big duck you to her that I was taking them all and couldn't stand the idea of the others going into indefinite storage. I told her it sounded like she was planning to throw them out once our backs were turned, and she got pissed and told me I was insulting her by taking them all. I got mad and asked her why it's any of her ducking business and who is she to tell me what I can and can't do. My dad told her I was told I could take whatever, and she said she hadn't realized I'd take every one of them. Then she said I insulted her in her own home and asked Dad why I had such an attitude toward her. I told her she was the one who interfered when she wasn't asked to. That became another fight and Dad told us to cool off. She's still annoyed that I took them all and still feels like it was a duck you to her. She also said I was beyond rude to curse at her and ask her why it was her business, as if to say she doesn't also live here and isn't my family now. Comment 1. NTA. Those pictures are pictures of your mom. They have no relevance to her. She wanted them gone. Now that they're gone, she's throwing a hissy fit. It's actually not about the pictures. It's about control. You're absolutely right. She was going to throw them away. Because again, this is about control. She wanted to control the narrative about what happened to them. If she controlled the narrative, then you got the ones she wanted you to have, the rest went to file 13. Comment 2. She was fine with them being gone until she realized she couldn't control how it happened. It's not even about the photos, it's about her wanting to control the whole situation. Comment 3. NTA. She was planning to throw them away. If I was you, I would take everything that belonged to your mother and store it at your grandfather's. And when your father asks, just say, your new wife's actions have shown she can't be trusted. Pretty sure she wants to throw anything related to mom away. I'm giving her that chance. My wife, 32F, is very close to my 33M family. We were childhood best friends, high school sweethearts, and we've been together for 18 years now. They've known her all that time and my mom adores her and they're incredibly close. Actually, my mom has a good relationship with all but one of her children's partners. My younger brother's Aiden, 29M, wife, 27F, is the exception. Aiden married Jem last year. They dated for a couple of years before that. At first we all got along pretty good with Jem, but she suddenly started being a duck to my wife. It started with very subtle comments that my wife said were nothing and I was just overreacting. While others would joke that my wife was mom's favorite kid, Jem would sound bitter and jealous about it. Then her comments turned mean about it. The jokes about it, which were never very frequent, stopped after that, but Jem would bring it up anyway. Then it was comments about exhausting it must be for my wife to have so many people who want her time and attention. Those were sparked by my siblings' partners also getting along with my wife, not to mention my mom and wife hanging out, and then my wife and I have kids together. I asked Jem what her problem was, spoke to Aiden one-to-one as well, and others spoke up in defense of my wife. Jem's biggest issue has always appeared to be my mom and my wife being close. I don't know why it drives her crazy, but it does. Now Aiden's frustrated because Jem isn't included the way my wife and the other partners are. The fact mom will do days with her daughter's in-law and Jem isn't invited. Or that my wife will do girls' stuff with the women in our family but she doesn't invite Jem because eventually she got sick of Jem's shit too. She was better than me at brushing it off for a while, but I think anyone would get annoyed by someone always treating them like shit. So Aiden came to me hoping I'd advocate for Jem to be included. He said she just feels left out and wants to be included. I told him she has a funny way of showing it. He said she knows she messed up but to give her another chance for him. I told him I'm not going to advocate for his wife's inclusion when she was so rude to mine. I told him he needs to get Jem to make it up to everyone and work toward her inclusion, or else she's staying an outsider. I told him I get that his loyalty is with his own wife, but mine will always be with my wife. He told me someone our side needs to try or Jem will feel like she's wasting her time. I told him it's not on me. He tried to pull some brotherhood crap and I told him to knock it off and accept my answer. Obviously he hates that. My wife said she'd have no problem if Jem apologized and actually stopped with her comments, and she's glad I told Aiden what Jem needed to do. Aiden keeps telling me I was a duck and could have done more. Comment 1. NTA. You're absolutely right, Jem created this situation, and it's on her to fix it. Nobody is obligated to include someone who has been consistently rude, especially when she hasn't even apologized. Your wife gave a fair and reasonable condition. If Jem truly wants to be included, she should own up to her behavior and make amends. Aiden trying to guilt trip you into advocating for his wife instead of holding her accountable isn't fair. Brotherhood doesn't mean enabling bad behavior, and you're prioritizing your wife, as you should. If he wants things to change, he should be having this conversation with Jem, not you. Comment 2. You could have done/do more, but Aiden should have done more earlier. It is his and Jem's fault that they are in that situation, but it is up to them to resolve it. However, Aiden's attempts it to push under the carpet rather than have Jem atone and take responsibility.